Hi everyone, welcome to Bad Weather Barbecue. I'm Johnny and today we're looking at BBQ Pulled Jackfruit. Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. This is a channel where we talk all things barbecue. And today I want to look at BBQ Pulled Jackfruit. This is a video I've been wanting to do for a wee while now, but just never seemed to get around to it. But it is one of the recipes that I'm going to be included in my Texas themed menu that I mentioned in my previous video. So what is jackfruit? Well, jackfruit comes from the same family as figs and mulberries, and it's native to the likes of southern India, Sri Lanka, and the rainforests of Malaysia. Never let it be said you don't learn anything on this channel. Whilst the jackfruit has unripe and ripe parts to it, what we're interested in today is actually the canned green jackfruit that comes with, it's a very mild taste, but it has a very meat-like texture. Now, I just want to state at this point that this is going to be a kind of reaction video from me as well, as I've actually never cooked with this before. I've had 2 tins of it bought from my local Sainsbury's. I think I spent about £2.30-ish on them each. But I've never got around to using them, so I'm really interested to see how this one works out today. So in terms of what we're going to be cooking today, I'm going to try and do a very similar recipe that I've done probably right at the start of when I get into barbecuing, which was sort of a wet pulled pork as opposed to the more dry pulled porks that you've seen me do on this channel. In terms of serving it though, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making some edible bowls out of tortillas, some fresh flour tortillas. Then I'm just going to be serving them with a fresh guacamole, salsa, some sour cream, and just a little bit of the pickled onions that I made recently on the channel. As ever, please stick around to the end of the video where I'll give you my 3 top tips for making this cook a success. So without any further ado, let's get into the kitchen. So as I say, I've got a couple of tins here. These are Summer Pride jackfruit in water, and as I said, I got these from Sainsbury's. I think it was about £2.30 a pop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open these up, I'm going to drain out the water, and then we'll come back and we'll have a look at it then. Alright, so I've just opened the first can of jackfruit, and come and have a look, see what you think. It's a lot pinker than I thought it would be. My research certainly suggested the canned stuff would be slightly greener, but this is what it looks like. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a little taste just to see what it's like. I mean, it is a fruit, so I don't really need to cook it. It's super soft already. There is a sweetness to it as well, so I don't think I'm going to have to pre-cook this prior to actually putting it in the barbecue sauce. What I do also have here, you'll have hopefully watched the short that I made on making your own barbecue sauce. So this is what I'm going to use. 2 quick points, however. This one, after the short that I did, I made a second batch. And the reason I did that was for 2 reasons. The first was I'd put chili flakes in the first one, and I know my kids won't like that. So that's why I made the second batch. But also, if you are vegetarian and you're making this sauce, remember that it did have Worcestershire sauce in it, so you'll need to take that out. So this batch doesn't. So what we're going to do today will be purely for vegetarians. All right, so we're at the hob now, and I've just warmed up some vegetable oil in a pan, and I'm just going to add our jackfruit straight into it, like so. I'm not going to add all of it in just now. I just want to see how this batch turns out. But as you can see, it does pull apart very easily. It does have a very, the sort of pinkiness does give it a bit of a sort of meat look to it. There are bits on the inside. I'm not sure if these are, oh, it's just the inner parts of the fruit. So I mean, it's all edible. I've just never seen that before. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to warm it a little bit like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add in my barbecue sauce. And I'm just going to mix this through like so, but it's actually starting to look like pulled pork. It's pretty simple. You could add additional onions into this, or anything you want. You could add some peppers in, which actually I might end up doing. But as you can see, as it starts to heat up in the sauce, it is actually starting to look like what I would describe as a sort of wet pulled pork. Okay, so I've given it about a minute or two on the hob, just kind of letting it cook through in the sauce. So I'm going to do what you all know I don't like doing, which is have a little taste on camera. So let's get a little chunk of it, like so. Now it is piping hot, so I hope this doesn't backfire terribly. Okay, well, first off, I know I like my sauce. That's really, really nice, so definitely have a shot at that. But actually, in terms of the jackfruit as a substitute for pulled pork, it does actually work. It does sort of come away, and it's not as perhaps chewy as a pulled pork can be at times, but in terms of the texture, it is very, very similar. So I can really see why the vegetarians would say this is a great substitute. So I'm quite happy with that, to be honest. So what we're going to do now is actually just work on how we're going to serve the jackfruit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple of edible bowls. So they are simply soft flour tortillas, which we're going to bake into, or at least around a mold, and make them into little baskets. So I'm going to do that now. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to get our tortillas all sorted out now. So what I've got here is I've got 2 of my flour tortillas. What I'm going to do is I'll just show you one of them. So I'm just going to baste this one just with a little bit of veggie oil, like so. There we go. Just make sure it's consistent. Okay, and then it's just a case of putting it onto your ramekin. Now, this is quite important. What you need to make sure you don't do is really tighten it down. It's just to lightly sit on it. Okay, you still sort of bend it like I am, but you don't want to clamp it down. Okay, especially when it comes to the next bit, which is adding the tin foil. So what I've got here is I've got a sheet of tin foil. I'm just going to pull that over and just sort of lightly suggest the shape that I want the bowl to go in, which is that. And then I'm just going to take my sheet and just very lightly just place it over it. And that's it. We don't want to clamp that down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the second one, and then we'll get them in the oven. What we'll do is we're going to put them in for 10 minutes. Then after that, we'll have a look at them. We'll probably take the tin foil off at that time, and then just give them another possibly 5-10 minutes just to crisp up that little bit more. But let's get them in. So that's been 10 minutes now, and it's time to have a wee look. Okay, so moment of truth. Oh yes. Oh, they're coming along nicely. Take that one off. Oh yeah, okay. So we have started to crisp up on the outer parts, but now what we're going to do is we'll pop them back in for about sort of another, I don't know, 5 to 10. All right, so that's been about 18 minutes now all in, and it's time to have a little look at what we've got. Oh yes. So this is what we're after. We can see that we've got some nice crispening around the main sort of bowl part of it. Now, again, we could have trimmed these down just before we put the tin foil on, but I'm quite happy with how they've come out. So what we're going to do now is we're going to plate this one up. Right, so that's me now taking the bowls out of the oven, and I've actually just gone ahead and plated up the dish. So What you can see here is you can see our lovely barbecue jackfruit in the edible bowl. I've also got some of my pickled onion and some sour cream and fresh chives in there, and then obviously our fresh guacamole and fresh salsa as well. So there you have it, barbecue pulled jackfruit in all its glory. And I have to say, I'm really pleased at how this one turned out. Super delicious, very, very similar texture to a regular pulled pork. And I thought the edible bowl was a lovely addition as well. Earlier in the video, I said to stick around for my 3 top tips for making this cook a success. So here we go. Number 1. To make this one purely veggie, really, really simple. Just use the same barbecue sauce that I use, but just take out the Worcestershire sauce as I mentioned earlier. Number 2, don't clamp your tortillas down too hard onto your ramekins. If you do that, what will happen is when it comes to taking the ramekins out, you won't be able to get them out, unfortunately. How do I know that? Because that's what happened to this guy. What you'll see on the screen just now is the aftermath of me trying to get my first round of tortilla bowls off the ramekins, and as you can see it didn't quite work. It's because I packed them down too tightly and then wrapped them with the tin foil to keep them in shape. So when they baked, they just baked around the ramekin and I couldn't get it out. Number 3, I'd actually tested a couple of different ways to cook this. The one that you've seen on screen, which is the one I would absolutely recommend, which is in the frying pan, and it allows then the sugars within the barbecue sauce to caramelize. The second way of doing it was in a slow cooker. Again, I'd seen this on YouTube, so I thought I'd give it a go just to sort of see which way was better. What you tended to find with that one is there was more moisture and water in that one. I left it on for probably about 4 to 5 hours. So what I ended up having to do with it was transfer it into a frying pan before serving, just to try and caramelize up the sugars as with the one that you've seen on screen. So definitely recommend using a frying pan for this one. So I know there was no actual barbecues used in today's cook, but I think this fits really well with what I'm trying to do on the channel. So I'm really pleased that I've actually taken the time now to do a barbecue pulled jackfruit. So if you like that video, please hit the like button. And if you haven't yet subscribed, it would be fantastic if you would consider doing so. As ever, please leave me a comment in the section below. I'm having a lot of fun interacting with you guys at the moment. So thanks for watching, everyone. You take care, and I'll see you in the next video.